leads to my next question, more in terms of standard. I see. We already have kind of, we have another some time left, but I'll try to talk more because this is such a wonderful conversation. I do not want to, miss asking any of my questions today. So, as a chairwoman of the knowledge management standard, my questions to you is when it comes to knowledge, when it comes to innovation management standards, they have various innovations, one is like 05600 56004 5. I mean, about strategic intelligence, idea management, tools and methodology. So they distinctively developed various, standards specifically. Now, for knowledge management, it is part of the HR standards, right? Part of the HR, right? Now, how do you look at the next development of the standard, or what is the vision of ISO?
Okay, so first of all, I want to go back to the current standard before I speak about its development.
Okay.
First of all, you stand correct that we are part of the HR committee. Now, knowledge management is a multidisciplinary discipline, and it could be wherever. But I'll tell you the truth, they were the only ones that wanted to take us when we were looking for someone who could host us.
Okay.
And B, they can add value because the human perspective is important, but we are the first standard in this committee that is a requirement standard, because all the documents that they have prepared up to when we arrived were only guiding standards, terms, guidelines. They were not requirement standards.
Okay.
I will tell you the truth. At the beginning, they said, okay, this will also be requirements, or this will be also a guideline. And we said, no, guidelines we have already. I put my foot down. We said, no, we came for mandatory standard, and this is the agreement that we got from the ISO high level. So this is what we will prepare. So one of the things is that now, I won't say that it's because of KM, other HR standards are going and looking how also to turn to be requirement standards. Of course, that being the requirement standard brought some difficulties with it, because we're taking something that, if you ask knowledge management at the end of the day, is a lot of culture.
Yes.
And how do you take it and tell organizations you are required to have culture of knowledge management? So this is one of the challenges, how to design in all these soft skills. And specifically, we had a full chapter about culture that turned to be a few sentences, few sentences within the body of the knowledge, a specific paragraph, and an annex.
Yes.
A, B, and C all together. So this was a great challenge. But I want to speak about the current document, a few more words, the current standard, because it has some treasures, I call them.
Okay. Sure.
One of them sits in the introduction. Because in the introduction, you have things that are not mandatory, but you have there a set of guidelines, how to implement, not what, because the standard says what you have to have. And there you have 7 or 8 or 9, I don't remember specifically, guidelines how to do the best KM you can. And think about it, we had a team of 20 experts from around the world, and everyone gave his tip, and we integrated them together, how to do the best KM you can. So please, people, if you want to do it, go to the standard, go to the introduction, and seek, find, and implement those guidelines. Of course, align them with your visions and your needs. Another interesting body of knowledge sits in the annexes. Again, not mandatory. And the annexes, there are 3 annexes. One we already spoke about, Speaking about the culture, that's Annex C. We have an annex that helps people draw the lines, the borders between knowledge management and all the adjacent disciplines. Because time after time, because the lines are not that clear and cut. Again and again, we are asked, okay, aren't we education? Aren't we learning management? Aren't we training? Aren't we document management?
Yes.
So things do overlap, but we have that annex that helps to draw the lines. So I think it could be beneficial to many people. The most favorite annex is Annex B for me, because years after years we were taught to speak about tacit knowledge and explicit knowledge, to speak about codified knowledge and uncodified knowledge, speak in black and white. And one of the things when we argued back in Berlin, I remember something like 4 years ago or 5 years ago, is that there's no really black and white. It's a continuum and it's a spectrum, that in this spectrum you have all these situations you can be in. It could be codified and be implicit, it can be explicit, and it can be tacit and be articulated, and you can go back to all of the terms. And it's not really something very formal that of a yes and no, or be or not be. And the more important thing is not only that it's a continuum, but our great understanding was that every movement, when in these points, within these junctions, one to another, if you do it, this movement for the efficiency of the effectiveness of the organization, you develop your knowledge and you are doing knowledge management. So when you turn tacit to explicit, you are doing knowledge management. You also develop your knowledge and you also benefit the organization. When you turn it from explicit back to implementation or interpretation, you again are having knowledge management. And every movement is knowledge management. And it's a great understanding that is hidden in this annex. And after I came back from Berlin, a few months later, all of a sudden I understood that's what Nonaka was speaking about. Nonaka and Hadland, no one knows because he died very early, but they were speaking about together. And they didn't give all the idea, but this idea, they spoke about only development of the knowledge, but I'm taking it a bit further and saying it's not only development of knowledge like in the Seki model, and it's not only 4 states, but it's all the positionings that you have. And every movement is A, knowledge development, and B, knowledge management. And it's a great understanding that can take each one of us, not only to theoretical understandings, but to practical places. As to your question, now we are working on enlarging the set of terms of knowledge management. I want to remind us all that the ISO standard is the only document we have with agreed worldwide understandings on knowledge management. Therefore, the borders, the culture, the guidelines, the movements of the knowledge, the spectrum, all help us, all define agreed bodies of knowledge of worldwide experts, not 2 experts that are sitting one with another, 20 experts for different places in the world with comments of 160 countries, all coming together and writing, designing these bodies of knowledge. So that is why these bodies of knowledge are so precious, not only for the standardization of it, and the certification, but as agreed bodies of knowledge. Now, we are now working on the terms. They are already agreed. We have another round of comments, and I believe that within a few months, this project will also end, and we will have a larger set of agreed terms having to do with knowledge management. I will say the truth, we made the knowledge management definition itself a bit better. It wasn't that good in the first stage. It is now better. There is still place to make it even better, but that probably is a different project. I don't know, even on ISO or elsewhere. I also have my dreams and different platforms where I can run them.
Okay. Okay.
What next? In addition to that, the British BSI are working on a guideline to implementing the standard.
Okay.
So also that could be great news for organizations, because I believe that the standard itself, the requirements document, is the most important thing.
Right.
B, the agreed bodies of knowledge are a great thing, because we never had agreed bodies of knowledge management. But also the guideline can be an assistant to many organizations, and also that is a project that we are now working on.
True. Wow, that's really, I mean, it's really wonderful to understand actually, the space you are in while developing, and the real thought process, what has happened, and how everything has come together. It's great insight for me, because I, as a user, when I read the standard, to be very honest with you, even before user, I was very big skeptic around this game, because I always believed knowledge management itself is a fluid, right, and you can never standardize. But when I read it, I was actually um, really blown away, because you talk about the knowledge management system, the clause 4. There you're not talking about any specific
System is
system,
not a software.
Yeah,
system is everything together.
exactly.
The management and the training and the architecture and the platform, digital platform. Again, it's not that best term that ISO have chosen, but we are sticking with it.
Yeah, I think so. So what has happened is, I mean, when we say the system properly, it was always goes back to IT system, or because system in itself is not that, it's not IT. This whole the solar is going is professionally happening. It's a system. The galaxy movement. It's a system. I mean,
exactly.
I mean, that's what I understood here. I mean, that's why I also kind of really read, and I was able to even take some of the important aspect and implement in my organization as well, like knowledge management, archival, and other things. So that's why I've been, as a practitioner, I liked it. And to be very honest with you, like past 18 years, I mean, there are so many books, there are so many frameworks. Every organization has a framework, but nobody can publicly put and say use it, because it's that organization IP, or there's various other challenges involved. But at least we have one knowledge management body of knowledge, which is agreed, at least most of the organizations, and it's been built by people who have been in knowledge management for 20 plus years of experience. So it's agreed, and it's shared framework of what is and what could be knowledge management. And that itself provides any new organization starting care, any whether it is startup or large conglomerate, or even this knowledge management booklet is so condensed and so well written. I would really congratulate for the all organizing committee and people there. In fact, in my book, I've also mentioned thank you for the organizing committee, because without which, if this standard was not there, I think we, as a knowledge management professional, we didn't have an anchoring point to come together, because my game is different, is better, and his game is different and better, right? So we're all in a different space of argument, saying okay. But however, this is really fabulous, and I also hear that guidelines are coming in coming days, and that is also great news. So it's I think maybe I have more topics to talk, and I do not know, do you have another 10-15 minutes where we can maybe oh great, thank you. Now actually we talked about KMGN networks, yeah, the A courses. We talked about the standard in itself, and the organizing committee, and what is the vision of it. Probably everybody would want to know a bit about Moria. How did she start knowledge management, and how did she kind of cross over from to this field? Maybe yeah,
Okay.
Kindly share some.
A few words about myself.
Yes, please.
First of all, I am a woman, a mother. I have 4 children, 4 grandchildren, very proud, a family. And through it, I started my career in computer science. And I was at the beginning a programmer, and then I was in IT, in the systems, in the mainframe, in DBA. And 24 years ago, 23 years ago,
Okay.
I decided to start and to change my career, not change the profession yet. I never heard about knowledge management, but I decided to start up my own IT software firm.
Okay.
And I left the organization I was working in, and I decided to start with a new IT firm. And a month later, I get a telephone from some colleague asking me if I can perform some KM, some knowledge management project in his organization. I didn't know what it is. And I said, no, because I'm a DBA expert and I don't know what it is. And I had no clue that no one in Israel or hardly in the world knows what it is. So he said, just wait a minute, I'll explain. And when he started to explain, I found the correlation with things that I did and loved, because I loved bringing in new methodologies and developing new methodologies and implementing technologies. And I loved the mixture between hard and soft, because you have to be very practical and very logical, but you have to be very soft and listen to people.
True.
And you have to know technology and understand how to implement technology.
Indeed.
And do it very clear cut. But you have to be also, on the other hand, an organizational development consultant. True. And know how to guide the organization through all these obstacles and problems and challenges. So I fell in love with it. First of all, I needed the money because, I was new on my way and I was looking for projects. And I said, oh, you know what? I did this and that can connect. You know what? Okay. Yeah. And a few months later, I met this woman who brought the discipline to Israel, Dr. Edna Pasha. And I wanted to collaborate because I wanted some more projects. And she was so curious seeing that someone already is doing it in an organization in Israel, because there was one knowledge manager, but there were no really projects out there. So she was very curious and she said, okay, but let's meet and let's try doing something bigger. Okay. And then we collaborated, and later on I took it to myself, and today really I manage and I own a consultancy firm with 40 employees, all doing knowledge management from morning to evening. I think that is one of the biggest knowledge management firms in the world. Not the technology, not writing, not programming and bringing up another portal, another website, another internet, but actually doing knowledge management methodologies in organizations. So we went a long way through since then, but I took the things that I love, that is not being a programmer. I never liked being an IT, computer science, no matter if I was a programmer and a systems person, infrastructure, but taking the methodologies and using new technologies. And I was so lucky to join a world that was so new and immature at all. So like plastilin, like dough, I could help designing how it will work. And I'm still doing it up to today. And at the beginning, I remember myself going to the first conference of knowledge management worldwide in Las Vegas. It was some path and an IT conference. And I'm going to the big 4 companies, then the big 5, and asking them, how do you do knowledge management? They said, okay, and what's your module? No. And where are your methodologies? No, we don't have methodology. We go with our brains. So I started developing methodologies,
Okay.
and I was lucky enough that there were none,
Mhm.
actually, besides the Secchi model.
Okay.
And so I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to develop so many new methodologies. I developed 20 plus years ago the first professional internet, not an organizational internet, and there was nothing near it around the world. And I remember me going to a conference a year later and hearing about the new idea named Workspace. They didn't even call it. I said, okay, 8 months ago, I already launched. And later on, I went to Lessons Learned and had new ideas. So I had the opportunity to come to a new raw discipline and add more ideas. And I'm so happy to be with so many great surrounding people, each one of them coming with their bright ideas and their new ideas. And together, we are building something that was not there before. And we are so lucky to be in a discipline that has so much place to develop and so much importance that I turned this profession not only to be my only profession, but to be my hobby, my mission of life, my 24/7.
Okay.
And I can't turn 24/7 to be 3610, but I'm trying to put every moment into it because there's so much to be done and so many ideas that we did not yet reach.
I'm sure. I think the learning process and the contributing and creation never stops. And especially once you get consumed with the passion for knowledge management and innovation, the ideas and the imagination will never stop. That's what I would say. And with that note, I think I might have to, you know. Stop our conversation for today, and I want to thank you for spending time with me talking about various topics. And I really want to thank you for providing the leadership in bringing up the courses, which is very important and critical. Thank you very much again. And probably maybe I would want to have one more session little more later and talk a bit more on various other topics, which are, there's so many set of questions which I want to ask, but we'll have to take it some other time. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
so, and thank you. My three ending words to KMers around the world. A, dream. B, work together, collaborate. 3, fulfill these dreams. So if we have dreams, we fulfill them together, the sky is the limit.
Beautiful. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.